This Champions League and Premier Lacrosse League Picks Week 1 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 100 times your entry with the Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Sign up with SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by the Mega Memorial Merch Sale. 15% off of everything in the SGPN merch store with the promo code SGPNMay. Act now as the sale ends on Friday.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Real lacrosse fan, Kramer, also, please.
Yes, Real Lax Bros here, joining us as well to celebrate all things lacrosse. The man in the box, aka CJ Sullivan. What's happening, CJ?
What's up? I am the Salisbury Steak, the Lax Bro, the Johnny Hopkins.
Oh, and I mean, Lax Ladders really just.
Whoa.
I mean, the alliteration, the lax ladder, the lacrosse ladder, the long pole ladder. We're going to be talking all things lacrosse. If you don't, if you're watching, if you're listening, you're missing my Fire PLL Waterdog hats, the Philadelphia Waterdogs.
2 D's, right?
Yes, there's 2 D's in Waterdogs. Kramer's a California Redwoods guy, right?
It's a little confusing because our homecoming event will be held in San Diego. I haven't seen the Redwoods down there yet.
And CJ, you are a what's your team?
I'm adopting the Carolina Chaos.
Nice.
All right, I like it.
Yep, they do have fire uniforms and logo, and I love their merch. And then when I went on the website, it said pick a team, click on a team. And I just thought I was going to find out more information. Next thing you know, I'm signed up to the newsletter.
It's a tracking.
That's it. Yep.
They got you. They hooked you. Hook, line, and sinker.
But I'm in.
All right, we're gonna be talking Premier Lacrosse League. Hey, we need more. We always need more action on Sports Gambling Podcast. Why not?
UFL's ramping down.
Yeah, we needed something to fill that. Hey, what are we talking about here? But we want to bet on it, so we'll watch it. Window.
Yeah.
And lacrosse certainly fills that for the UFL. But before we even get to that, reminder: the Mega Memorial Merch Sale, a promo code SGPN, May 15% off everything. Joining us on the line from the Premier League Gambling Podcast, Mr. Baz himself. What's happening, Baz?
Evening, boys. How we doing? I'm all good. I'm frantically trying to bring up my notes for the soccer because I thought you were getting me on to talk lacrosse. I was about to make my pitch for the Lacrosse Gambling Podcast. Turns out you want me to talk Champions League.
You missed your window, Baz. Do they have lacrosse over in England?
No, I think the closest we've got to that's probably like Quidditch or something like that, and it's that thing they play in Harry Potter.
They play field hockey over there.
Oh, do they?
I think they play field hockey.
They kind of
field hockey. Yeah, the girls play hockey over here.
Have you seen I remember once when I visited Ireland, I was in a bar and the guy they pull the screen down and they turn on the TV and they go, "Oh, we got a hurling match coming up."
Yeah, I love it.
I never heard of hurling. And then right next to it was right next to the bar conveniently was a place where you could get your bets. So I immediately get in a bet for the hurling team that everyone in the bar is rooting for, cashed a nice couple euros on that one. If you don't know hurling, it's like kind of like
hurling's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of lacrosse, but it's more like a flat bat, right?
It's
quite a violent sport as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite rough hurling. It's big in Ireland, not no hurling going on in England, but massive over there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a perfect scenario. You walk into a bar and you've got the bookmaker there ready to take it.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
Get involved in anything.
Yeah.
It's funny the idea of going to an old place like Ireland, but it being the future when it comes to sports betting.
Yeah, seriously. Like they had this figured out years ago overseas, and we're just finally getting around to it. All right, Barry, aka Baz. Let's talk a little Champions League. It is the final coming up. What do we like? What are we getting down on? Give us the skinny.
Yeah, so we got Dortmund coming up against Madrid in the Champions League final, sort of bringing down the curtain on the football season over here. Sorry, soccer season. On my show, I can talk about whatever I want. I can talk football rather than soccer. And I've had to tailor all my odds to make sure I'm in American odds as well. For
Oh
you.
yeah,
Thank you, Sean. Sean prefers that.
yes.
Yeah, so we got Dortmund v Madrid, the sort of curtain closer, and there's not long before it all starts up again. We don't have much of an off season here because we've got the Euros coming up as well. But Dortmund v Madrid, Dortmund plus 400 to win this in 90 minutes. Madrid minus 162 and the draw at plus 330. So those are your money line odds, 90 minutes odds. Remember, in America, if you take those prices, you've only got 90 minutes. You've got to win it in regular time. It doesn't include the overtime. The odds to lift the trophy, Dortmund plus 250, Madrid minus 330. I think for me, I'd love to see Dortmund do it. And I think a lot of soccer fans across the world would love to see Dortmund do it because of the underdog here. And I think a lot of people have got a soft spot for Dortmund. They're just a club that's easy to like, massive fan base, really sort of great place to go watch football. I went to Dortmund a few years ago with the boys and had a day at Dortmund for a game. And one of the best experiences of my life as a football fan, soccer fan. But I think it's going to be a step too far for them. Madrid are the most successful team historically in this tournament. They've won the Champions League 14 times now. The next best in that list is AC Milan with 7. So they're miles ahead of anybody in terms of the history of this tournament. And it's not just going back, years and years that. In recent history, they've made 6 of the last 10 finals and they've won all 6. They get to the final, they just don't lose. So yeah, Madrid it's just a big step up from the competition Dortmund have taken on so far. We start with PSG in the last round for Dortmund was a solid result. But beyond, PSG struggle in the later stages of this tournament anyway. And this year, they struggled in the earlier stages. So not quite the same level of opposition as Madrid, who have had to knock out Bayern Munich and Man City along the way. So looking at the form in the tournament so far, Real Madrid have had to really beat some of the big juggernauts of European football, whereas Dortmund haven't quite had that.
But Dortmund has an American.
Oh wow! Should have led with that. I'm a sucker for a good underdog story. Dortmund,
not only an American, Sean, the American that got kicked off the team, but it turned out the U.S. coach was a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
And then the dad got involved, Gio Reyna. So I don't know if you want to root for America, Sean. You should be aware of that tidy fact.
The mom got involved too, right?
Yeah, it was a whole family affair. You got to realize, I'm deep in the youth sports streets.
Yeah.
He's not even involved at the moment. He's been at Nottingham Forest in the Premier League this season, and he didn't set anything alight in the Premier League this season. He's on a downwards trajectory. As
don't say that.
So not trending in the right direction. So Baz, I assume. Do you just take Real Madrid in 90 minutes? Is there a prop you like? Do you figure out a spread bet? How are we making money if we're gonna take the favorite? I've
got a couple of things. I think I like Real Madrid as a pick, but they're minus 162 on the Premier League gambling podcast. We don't put out picks at minus 162.
No,
so we've got to try and find a way of getting you closer to plus 100 is what we'd always try and do on our show. So that's where I've gone. I think Madrid will win this. One other angle to come in at is goals. In these Champions League finals, there's not a lot of goals around. The last 4 straight finals have been 1-0 victories. The last 5 have all gone under 2.5 goals. They can be cagey affairs. And if Madrid do get ahead, there's nothing in Madrid's form to suggest they're going to go all guns blazing and try and blow anyone away by any big score. So you can take Madrid, tag on under 4.5 goals, and get you plus 100. So I think that's the way I'd go with it. Rather than take the minus 162. I'd tag the under 4.5 on. I just don't see it going anywhere near that number.
So wait, you say so Madrid under 4.5. So that's like an alt number then.
Yeah. So you know, we put it in as a bet builder. I don't know how you do it over there, but you can normally tag on whichever line you want, I think, over there.
Oh yeah, you can definitely parlay this guy.
Gotta get the slider out. All right, so we got Madrid and the under. Let's see. It does feel a little boring. I will say there is another reason to potentially root against Dortmund.
What's that?
If you type if you look up their logo, Sean, you'll understand what I'm saying. But it's a B, a V, and a B. It reminds me of something else that you know. So yeah, I think we're on Madrid.
Okay,
we're on the under.
I don't mind.
You're coming with takes,
Barry. What do we just take the under 2.5 for the game? I'm seeing that at plus 115.
Oh,
what about and then if Dortmund shocks the world, I can still celebrate. Under 2.5 in 90 minutes feels like it makes sense to me.
Absolutely, I wouldn't talk anyone out of that. We put our main show out on this last night. Malcolm's main pick for the show was under 2.5. You could even like under 2.5 and both teams to score no. So that's, you know, one team not to score. That comes in at plus 170, I think. But the under 2.5, I think, is a solid pick. I would have Madrid down here as winning this 1-0, 2-0. I don't see it going much further than that. So I think the under 2.5 is a real live pick as well. The thing with Dortmund, I would love to see Dortmund do it, but it's plus 400. They're up against a team in Madrid who have now gone 47 games since they last lost a game in any competition, which is pretty astonishing, really, because you get towards the end of the season, they won the league by 10 points. And a lot of teams will drop off because they're resting players, and you tend to get a couple of defeats at the end of the season when things are wrapped up. 47 games, a long, long time to go without losing. I wouldn't want to be on Dortmund at plus 400. It's just not big enough for me at all. But the unders is definitely live as well.
What about in the 90 minutes? What if I'm getting crazy playing draw at plus 310? Maybe that's how Dortmund shocks the world, by just getting it to extra time, as you guys say.
I mean, that plays into the Madrid undefeated, because that would still be Madrid not losing the game in 90 minutes. I think if Dortmund are going to win it, possibly that's the way they do it. I just don't see it. The big thing for Dortmund is they've got this massive stadium. It's one of the biggest atmospheres, biggest fan bases in the world. They get 80,000 people in every week, despite the fact they're not, you know, the biggest team who are winning trophies every year. And that's, you know, a lot of the earlier rounds of this tournament, you play two legs, you play one at home, one away. They don't have that now. This is a neutral venue, and taking that away just sort of weakens them a little bit for me.
You are describing them as a scrappy underdog, which is tempting.
Let's break it down.
I'll just stick with the under 2.5.
Who are the English going to root for? It's being held at Wembley, I believe.
Okay. Not the Spain. It's not the Spanish.
The Spanish or the Germans. The Germans.
I think the Germans. I think everybody. I think everybody wants Dortmund to win. If you're not a Real Madrid fan, I think you want Dortmund. It's the underdog narrative, and as I say, the fact Dortmund they're a club who can compete with some of the big guns, despite not having the same sort of budget. They don't go out spending £100 million on players and things like that. And they've produced a lot of good players over the years. A lot of players who've come through their team: Haaland, Dembele, Gundogan, Pulisic, Aubameyang. The Dortmund team is notorious for bringing great players through and selling them on for big fees, but they don't spend a lot of money bringing it in. But they're still able to compete. And I think that's why a lot of people would have them down as their sort of their second team, possibly, and a team you would root for in this final.
CJ, anything you like jumping out at you? I know you're a guy who fancies
action.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up lacrosse glossary terms. I can't jump in there right now. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think we all agree.
I've got some stats picks as well. I've got a little stats pick I like, a little prop.
Oh, great.
Yeah, prop. Yeah, and I've also got
some props. I know you like the corner kick stuff. What, you got any kind of crazy stuff for us?
You know, if I knew CJ was on, I would obviously dig a bit harder to try and find a ladder. I did look for a ladder today. I did look for a ladder opportunity today, and there was nothing that jumped out at me. You can't force these things. You've got to, it's got to be, the time's got to be right. The corners, nothing jumped out at me, but there was something I liked in the shots on target market. And the obvious one people will look to from the Madrid side is Vinicius Jr. He has more shots on target, more goals than anyone for Madrid. across the season. But if you look at it closer and look at just in this competition, he's behind Rodrigo for shots on target. They've both scored the same number of goals. And I think there's better value on Rodrigo here. And his form in this competition's good. He's had 2 or more shots on target in 7 of the last 9 games in the Champions League. And you're getting over 1.5 shots on target for Rodrigo at plus 225. I think is a really good bet. I think he's only failed twice in 12 games to get a single shot. He's almost guaranteed to get at least 1 on target. And the 2 looks fairly good. It's a good price at plus 225, I think. And just a little step up the ladder. We'll take 1 more rung. I'm not prepared to go too much further, but over 2.5.
Full step ladder. Okay.
Step ladder. We'll take over 2.5 shots on target for Rodrigo. That comes in at plus 800. A decent shout for that. And he's done that 2 or 3 times in this competition already this season. So plus 800 doesn't look too bad. But yeah, whilst everyone looks at Vinicius Jr., we're going to look at the opposite side and look at Rodrigo and get a little bit of better value out of it.
Get the scones off the shelf with the step ladder.
If you're please
get the tea kettle. Someone put the tea kettle on top of the
1.5 shots on Underdog is spicy. So feel free to pop up. There's a nice menu. I was shopping hungry over here.
Shout out to Underdog. Shout out to Barry. Appreciate you calling in, Barry. Any parting words? Of course, follow Barry on X at ToonBazza, ToonBazza, and of course, subscribe to the Premier League Gambling Podcast. Any more picks before we let you go here, Barry?
One last one, and it's because Malcolm was on the show a few weeks ago and he came out with a 20-1 winner. I don't know how he's done that because he doesn't do that on our show.
Yeah.
If you throw enough shit at the wall, eventually something's going to stick, and that's what's happened with Malcolm. But I'm determined. I'm going to beat him this week. So I've got something better than 20-1. I've gone 25-1 here.
Ooh.
Real Madrid money line. Rodrigo to score anytime. We've got Schlotterbeck for Dortmund to get a yellow card, and Kobel, the Dortmund goalkeeper, to have over 2.5 saves. We'll get that in at 25-1. That's your little bet builder for the game as well.
All right.
Hell yeah. Love it.
Hashtag Legends Only.
Appreciate it, Barry. Thanks a lot. And again, subscribe to the Premier League Gambling Podcast. Thanks, Baz.
Cheers. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Switching up gears here, of course. Make sure you check out Rhythm if you haven't already downloaded Rhythm. I'm pulling it up. Of course, they got a ton of great NBA player props. You're going to be watching Game 5 of the T-Wolves and the Mavs. They love Naz Reid over 10.5 points. They got it projected at 14.1. We had Lante on last night talking about the game. He also loved Naz Reid over 10.5 points. They're on Kyrie Irving under 22.5 points. They got a ton of props here. Great projections. Rhythm is a really, really cool app to use. Again, just put it in your wherever you get your apps. RITHMM. They got you covered. NBA, WNBA, golf. They have so many props, and it's really cool. You can first off, you get the 7-day trial. Try it for 7 days. You're gonna get some winners in those 7 days. You're gonna want to subscribe to it, because then once you get a couple winners, I've been on a heater just playing their best NBA props. It's been a fun ride over on Rhythm. So make sure you check them out. RITHMM, the place for AI sports picks and props. Get that free 7-day trial.
I got 15 things going on.
I know. Sean tossing me out of nowhere.
I wanted to try and get CJ involved.
No, I understand, but anytime there's an accent talking about soccer, you bow down and listen. You don't jump in. You don't interrupt that.
You do, yeah. Well, I was just trying to.
I was just trying to translate them a little bit, for the
I
listeners.
will say that is Sean's favorite thing to do.
Is what?
He'll do that on VSiN for the NBA too. Him and our guests will be having a very fruitful conversation, and he'll do this. Anything to add, Ryan?
Well, I want to try. I don't know. Right. I want to try, and you're sitting over there waiting for the. You're sitting there in the corner.
I saw that diabolical look on his face.
Waiting for the corner 3. I'm thinking the man's open. I want to kick in the ball. I don't want to leave you hanging.
I'm Carl Anthony Towns. You're Kyle Anderson. You go over there. The ball's coming your way. Then you shoot it in.
Oh, and of course, Carl Anthony Towns under 20.5.
Of course,
he has
home
not
road splits.
scored 20 points at home since February February 24th. So what's
Amazing.
cool about Rhythm, you can come up with your own models, and if you do Carl Anthony Towns under points at home, it's I mean, he was injured for a little bit, but it's crazy how bad he is and how bad he's been.
He is. I will say that he is coming off pretty big knee surgery like 10 weeks ago or something. I mean, he deserves a lot of shit that he gets, but also, I mean, he was hurt for a long time with a bad knee injury.
That is fair.
You know,
that is fair. Kramer is our guest here.
Our guest is here.
All right. Perfect timing. Joining us on the line. You know him. You love him. Coming from the PLL Bets podcast. I feel like we do a lot of. You're also on Bet US.
He's hard. He's the hardest working man in show.
Does a ton of stuff for Wager Talk. Dan Alexander, aka NeubyTalks on Twitter. What's happening, Newbie? How we doing?
Boys, what an absolute treat. This is terrific. And I'm matching both of you guys. I went California Redwoods down low, Philadelphia Waterdogs up top. So I'm really pandering. That's how I got the spot here.
Love it.
And you even had the accent for the
Waterdogs.
Waterdogs.
Gotta get some saliva and some marbles in there to say.
Well, but let's just start out. Let's just start out with the Waterdogs. Why I didn't want to Google it because I'm sure there's an answer somewhere. But why is Philadelphia's lacrosse team called the Waterdogs? What's the backstory on that one?
If you want to do some research and let me know, because your guess is as good as mine, man. So when they were naming all these teams, they tried to be, as innovative, as fun, as different as possible. How they landed, I don't like. What is a water dog? Is it a dog that is carrying a lot of water? Is it a dog that lives by the water? Is it an amphibious creature that we are not yet privy to? Is it a being in and of itself?
Yes.
But if you look across, it's definitely the strangest name other than the Whipsnakes, which it's also like you could have just went with like anaconda, went with the normal snake, but the lineage of water dogs I think will evade us, and for centuries to come, people will be studying what are the water dogs.
From what I could tell, it is when fishermen or hunters would aka duck hunt, where you shoot a duck and then that dog would retrieve it back. That's I think what a water dog is, but again, I don't know if that's something. Hey, I'm all in. The hat looks great.
It reminds me when we learned that UMBC, their mascot was a Chesapeake Bay Retriever.
Yes.
I didn't know. That's just a new kind of dog. So maybe there's just a water dog.
There's water dogs and then there's non-water dogs, and really quickly if it's a non-water dog.
Yeah, my dog.
That's a good point.
Non-water dog.
And I think the dog itself is having a bit of an identity crisis. See, what you're rocking now, they're the Philadelphia Waterdogs. It's official. Prior, they were just the Waterdogs Lacrosse Club, and you guys can see this. It was like a bulldog type, it kind of looked like it was slight fish. Yours is more of like a greyhound, like stoic-esque dog. So I think it's having a bit of an identity crisis, but I think we're spot on thinking you always know what a water dog is when you see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree. My dog certainly isn't a water dog. Put him near water, he freaks out. He does that move where they go nuts. If you hold certain dogs above water, they'll instantly just start going doggy paddle.
Impressive.
All right, newbie, let's start from the beginning. What is lacrosse? Can you explain that? Now, I know I grew up on the East Coast.
You're a big lacrosse guy.
But, and I mean, I just took the tags off some of this gear, but I'm a diehard Water Dogs guy through and through. Yep. But for some of these newer people.
Like me.
Ryan's just, the Redwoods.
You haven't been on social media today, Sean. Please.
Oh, Ryan did change his profile.
I have been welcomed by the team. I think. I think I'm basically a part of the team at this.
Embracing the Redwoods culture. Walk us through the basics for some newer lacrosse viewers.
Yeah, and honestly, if it's all about just being tall enough. Like if you're tall enough, you qualify for a California Redwood, Kramer. So you just have to go and get checked out. If you're right around 6 foot above that, you're gonna be a Redwood. So basically, I mean, the funny thing is a lot of people think of baseball obviously as America's pastime. It is through and through. But if you think of the oldest sport that has ever been played in North America, it is lacrosse because it is an indigenous people's game. Yeah, it actually began as the creators game, the people's game. So really native tribes would play not the common form of lacrosse that we know today and that we're going to be betting on and making money on.
They didn't have the 2-point goal.
No, the 2-point goal arc, the Haudenosaunee were not playing with the 2-point goal arc. But no,
and their field was like miles long too, right?
Yeah. It was spot on. See, you have a historian here to break it down for you. They would be playing
extra long sticks. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So there's so many different incarnations of this game that has grown into what us Americans and what the world knows as is lacrosse. And there's also delineations in that where you have indoor lacrosse versus field lacrosse. What we're going to be betting on all summer long with the PLL is field lacrosse. It is the fastest form of it, referred to as the fastest game on 2 feet. You're going to see a lot of scoring. You're going to see a lot of hits. You're going to see a lot of physicality. Hell, sometimes even these dudes drop the gloves, throw a little hockey in there, and you'll get some fighting action here in the PLL. So it's a nice alternative for us who like these contact sports. It's why you guys are betting the UFL too. We want to bet on sports that aren't baseball all summer long, and this is the spot that the PLL is going to fill for us, guys.
It is hilarious because there is just such a thirst for anything but baseball in the summer for gamblers, and lacrosse is here to fill that. All right, let's talk a little PLL. One, I know some doing my research here, some new rule changes. There's new face-off rules. What was the new face-off rule all about?
So they're always changing. It's changed quite a few times. Actually, your team, the Philadelphia Waterdogs, heading into this weekend won't even be carrying a face-off guy because of the changes in the rules, where essentially they added a shot clock, which was always a part of the PLL game, and then they shortened that shot clock and shortened it even more so off of faceoffs. And that was to really maybe give a competitive advantage to teams who didn't have absolute studs at the faceoff arc, like a Trevor Baptiste that you're going to see with the New York Atlas, where it basically just becomes make it, take it. You score a goal, you go and get it. So they've changed the faceoff rules quite a few times, and I think the way that it sits in this season, yes, it's still important to have a guy like an expert, like a Trevor Baptiste that you're going to see with Atlas, or with like a Joe Nardella that you're going to see with the Maryland Whipsnakes. But what the Waterdogs end up doing is they will send on 2 defensive specialists and then an offensive specialist to the face-off arc. And then if they lose, they have the defensive guys who are already in place, and then they'll just lock off the offense, have that shortened clock, get the ball back, head the other way. It's what sent them to the championship game last year. They kind of changed the rules a little bit to lessen that ability of just completely conceding on the faceoff. But will it make a difference, or will that, just concede the faceoff and allow yourselves to roll onto the offensive side of the field? Will that play itself out? That's to be seen, but it's something that they're still trying to wade through, and that's why you see the faceoff rules kind of changing.
Oh boy, I'm sure the classic lacrosse crowd not happy with these constant rule changes.
Dude, oh my, if you see lacrosse, if you think NBA Twitter is nuts, man. Lacrosse Twitter might be small, but these mother effers are mighty boys. Like if you just think about the rule changes, oh my God, ruining the game. Some people thinking it's the best thing ever. So yes, you guys will see as we trend through this year, lacrosse Twitter can get itself in quite a fervor. So that's a astute point out of you.
There's still gonna be some clamping going on, right, during these face-offs? I mean,
a lot of clamping. You got all the. This is just hitting the buzzwords.
CJ did have a lacrosse glossary up on his laptop.
Well, I know if they get those lazy habits and start raking, they can get lit up like he was saying.
Wow.
Strong.
Now that we're becoming, you mentioned lacrosse Twitter. I always thought lacrosse crowd would be more of like LinkedIn, but it's good to know they're also
a lot of ascots, a lot of like shoulders tied around with the sweater over it.
I'm no longer writing that letter of recommendation after your shitty takes on the Waterdogs. Long poles versus short poles. Break that down. I'm a long pole guy, Ryan. Short pole, nothing to be ashamed of. But what's the difference?
That's probably pretty accurate, because I am more athletic than you. I am faster than you. I would probably have a shorter stick than you.
As long as it's in the middle, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Motion of the stick. Newbie, walk us through short pole, long pole. What's the difference? What's the strategy? How's it used?
Yeah, so you're going to see your defenseman rocking that 6-foot pole, and you'll also see some midfielders doing the exact same. Yeah, it gets dirty. I'll warn you guys right now as we continue through the year. If you want sussy terminology, you have come to the right sport. That's for sure. So your defenseman is who you're going to see with the poles, and essentially what it helps you do is it just gives you an advantageous position when you're going up against an attackman or a midfielder, because you have that extra pole that you're able to actually be pushing people with. You're able to be able to decide where they're moving a little bit more, and the strategy behind it is just to make up for the speed at which the game plays. Because when you have an extra 3 feet extension coming off of you, you're able to mark up against these attackmen who are going at breakneck speed, much more so than you would be if you were playing with a shorty. So that's actually something that you'll see. You have guys who are specialty defenders who are called short stick defensive midfielders. And these are guys who are excellent. They could play with a pole if they had to, but they have enough in transition that they like to maybe keep them on the field a little bit more. And, it's a very specialized position as well. But really the thought behind it is being able to slow down the offense, but it's not like you're not allowed to go over midfield. You'll see guys like C.J. Costabile. That's a name that's going to come up for you guys a lot, who's a man who can go in transition with the pole and score with regularity. So he's a guy who you'll sometimes even see point props up on him, because just because he's a defender doesn't mean he's not able to score in transition. So even the guys with the pole can cross over midfield and they're able to score as well. And it's one of the most electric plays. It's also tougher for goalies to be tracking it out of the pole. So when you have a guy, another guy who was a high draft pick, he ended up with the Utah Archers. His name is Jake Pacino, and he played for Albany. And this dude, I would almost leave him out on offense if the Archers offense wasn't that good. So you're going to see him. His name's going to come up a lot, but the poles can also score in transition, but it just gives you a little bit more on the back end to combat some of the speed you're going to see these guys play with.
Love it.
We're not going to be talking about polls all season, are we?
No, there will be no mention of polls. No, get the stick.
We're bringing the tape measure for the next show. We're going to measure our polls.
All right,
that's a good idea.
See who's the.
We'll get some sticks and we'll measure our polls.
I do want to get sticks from the studio just so we have something to whack.
I'm already working.
Oh, okay, you got it more. Nice.
Youth sports stuff. I got access.
Let's a quick recap of the 2023 season. Archers brought it home. They beat the Waterdogs in the championship. Now I'm looking at the futures market. Right now, though, the Waterdogs are the odds-on favorite. They're plus 450. You got the Boston Cannons.
It's a baby fucking wheel, man.
Plus 480. The Archers, 5-1 to run it back. The Whipsnakes plus 550. The Atlas plus 650. The Denver Outlaws plus 750.
Love all the names.
And then CJ's Carolina Chaos 8-1, and Ryan's California Redwoods plus 950.
Real quick, I did get plus 1,000. Just want to make sure everyone's
good line shopping.
I got
good
great
line shopping.
Yep.
Good CLV. How do you see the 2024 season shaking out? Any value you like in this futures market right now?
So I'll tell you what, boys, finally, now that this is now going to be the 4th year that I'm going to be able to track lines. So I have, nice historical data to draw on, because 2021 was the first time that sports betting was offered in the Premier Lacrosse League. And it used to just be like hand over fist, man. Like I was cashing in week after week. Futures were all off. Now you have an 8-team market, and the prices make a lot more sense. Like you used to see preseason like plus 1,600s, things like that, which just on its face, when you have an 8-team league, no team should have 16-1 odds.
This is UFL handicapping right here.
They haven't figured that out in the UFL.
Yeah. That's really, I used my abacus. I moved everything. It made a hell of a lot of sense. As far as this year, coming into this year, I mean, the two favorites who are sitting at the top with the Waterdogs and the Archers make a hell of a lot of sense to me. The reason why you see the Waterdogs as the favorite, they won the year prior before the Archers got it done. This is a team who's always around the championship. And they also, it's an interesting wrinkle because they have a new head coach coming into this year. However, their new head coach is arguably one of the greatest coaches in lacrosse history. He's coming from Denver. He retired there to play his hand at seeing what he could do here in the PLL. So I don't think there's going to be much drop off, maybe even a raise up from a coaching perspective. And the Waterdogs, they had a killer offseason, man. Their roster just got absolutely exponentially better, which is crazy when you think of what they did last year and what they were able to accomplish over the past 2 seasons since being the most recent expansion team that was added to the league before the Boston Cannons were. So Archers, they have Tom Schreiber. He's Captain America. This is a midfielder. He was the MVP last year. They're always going to be in the conversation. They also added a guy who has a terrific name, Dyson Williams. Williams, like is a phenomenal name. Now he's starting off the year on the unable to travel list, so that's something to track. But he's coming out of Duke, big time goal scorer.
Unable to travel.
Is it a permission slip issue or?
Yeah, so that's I don't know if his mom signed or not. So there's all these different delineations. All I know is he's not going to be playing the first week. So whether it's because he got detention, mom didn't sign the slip.
Him and my California Redwoods won't be playing week 1.
Yeah, which I also, how are they going to do my boy like that? Like he declares I'm going with the Redwoods, and then they're like, by the way, they get a first week bye. That's brutal, man.
Yeah. I was already chopping it up with my buddy Chris over on X. Really got a raw deal. Hopefully it wasn't because he talked shit on the league, a la John Mara and Roger Goodell.
But that's, dude, like the thing is when like the NFL schedule comes out, you're always like, shit, my team has a week 5 bye week. Like imagine if your schedule came out and you're like, fuck, we don't play in week 1. Like that's brutal, dude.
Oh my God. The blue balls that I would have.
Yeah.
Imagine I go to Vegas for week 1 and I just sit there and watch everyone else play.
And then another team plays twice. It's like they're picking up your slack. Like, I guess since they didn't show up, they'll play too.
Feels like a personal attack for me not choosing the New York team and going with the California.
It kind of does.
Shoving it down your throat. Real quick, anything now you sent over a bunch of data. We're going to do our week 1 picks here in just a second. Do you have any week 1 locks? Like if I'm holding you down here, what is your favorite bet for week 1?
If I'm holding you down
here. If I'm clamping
if you're clamping me, you're making me pick the poll. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm actually going to head to the player prop market, and availability should be pretty good. This is on regulated books. So you should be able to find it, and you could even find it at plus money. I'm taking the first overall pick in the PLL draft, the LeBron James potential of lacrosse in Brennan O'Neill. The chosen one is here, and we're asking him to get over 2.5 points. We're asking this guy who gets on the point sheet with like 6 points per game. He played in the World Games. He was the MVP of the World Games, playing against grown-ass men when he was like a 17-year-old. Brennan O'Neill is an absolute dog. The fact that they're hanging 2.5 on him in his first game, I don't know if he's going to be running out of the box. I don't know if he's going to be playing attack, but wherever he plays on the field, dude is electric. You can get it at plus money. Brennan O'Neill over 2.5 points is the mini beluga whale nuke of the.
I like that beluga whale nuke.
I sprinkled 35 to 1 on him MVP. Is that worth a shot? Why not?
Whoa!
I definitely MVP might be a little bit lofty, but rookie of the year, you don't get as nice of the money. But hey, who knows if this dude is what he is promised to be? It's worth a sprinkle. I don't hate it.
This is the league to do it, where the number 1 overall pick would do it. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
Won an MVP, the Gold Cup, 5 goals, a championship game.
It does strike me as the kind of league where you're dominant immediately if you're good.
That's what I'm saying. You know? Yeah, and this is the kind of league right. Like a cream.
This is a number, guys, that I don't think we're going to be seeing a 2.5 very often on Brennan O'Neill. So let's grab it while we can.
Yeah, they got
lock it up. Brennan O'Neill over 2.5 points. Newbie, appreciate you calling in, getting us set up here, helping us on our maiden voyage, talking Premier League lacrosse or Premier Lacrosse League all season long. Make sure you follow Newbie on X at NeubyTalks. Check out all his podcasts. You got the Cash Consideration Show, their boy Sportsbook Consig, Bet on Lacrosse, and on social as well at PLL Bet. Newbie, appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming.
Love y'all, boys. Go slang those polls. Let's get this money this week, gentlemen.
Let it ride.
Good
Appreciate
face
it.
dodging.
Yes, it's very progressive for men to be on the pole in 2024.
I love it.
All right. Before we get into our week 1 PLL picks. I almost said NFL.
That's 99 days away. This is only like 2 days away.
Yes, of course. Head on over to Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code SGPN. Get the 100%. Well, you can get up to $250 in bonus cash when you use the promo code SGPN. They also hook you up with a special pick. I was clicking around because they do have the NFL season higher lowers available. Ryan, I'll put you on the spot here. Your boy,
I haven't looked at it.
Malik Neighbors receiving touchdowns higher lower. What do you think it's set at?
It's probably set too high. It probably should be 6.5, and it's probably set at 7.5.
It's 5.5. Right?
What?
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I'll be getting higher.
Lock it up for Ryan. And if you like some of the action, I know Newbie just gave out Brennan O'Neill 2.5 points. I'm seeing right now over on Underdog Fantasy with the promo code SGPN, Brennan O'Neill is set at 2 points. That's right.
What?
Nice
What?
CLV.
They don't know ball.
I'm putting that in higher, and then I'm going to toss in.
They don't know ball at all.
Anything.
I'm going to toss in Connor Kelly, who led the league in 2-point goals last season with 5. Oh, he's not on there. Well, I'll figure out someone else to toss in here. Oh no, Kieran McCardle. He is a Waterdog stud. I'm going to take him higher, 3.5 points for a nice little underdog play there. Again, Kieran McCardle higher, 3.5 points, and Brennan O'Neill higher, 2 points there. Ryan, firing on both.
Does it hurt when you say water?
Waterdogs.
Water.
UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right, gents, let's get to it. Right.
How are we feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great.
All right. So official though, what are you playing any futures other than the obvious, your team, like the emotional future?
Well, and honestly, I don't even like that. To Newbie's point, I don't think I'm going to touch any of these futures really, because like in the 8-league team, the value is usually on those
8-team league. Yeah.
Like the crazy long shots. So yeah, I will sprinkle a little on the Waterdogs at plus 450, but other than that, like I don't know.
Sean, have you learned nothing from the Birmingham Stallions?
Yeah.
They were a tremendous value at 3-1.
That is true. So again, if they are as dominant, like you said, new head coach, which is supposed to be like a very good head coach, yeah. So I'm in on them. CJ, you playing any futures?
I have tons of futures. You kidding me?
Look at all these sheets of futures.
I got sheets. I got clipboards. I even broke my code and brought in a laptop just out of respect for the new league, but only because you guys were sending data sheets, and I appreciate all the information, and we're learning as we go. But I have tons of information here.
Yeah. So toss out some of the. I heard you getting involved in the MVP market.
There's a couple MVPs I like for sure, and one goes around my Carolina Chaos, which you said them at 8-1 as a second highest odds.
Yeah,
I think
we're getting no respect, CJ.
Absolutely not. Our teams are getting no respect.
You're second longest or third long shot,
right.
7-1.
They have a lockdown defense, a physical defense, kind of been called dirty, which I like. Why I've adopted them, and they have possibly they say the greatest goalie in this lacrosse league history in Blaise Redon. He's a 4-time. Hold on, wait to hear these numbers. He is a. Hold on, what's the name of the goal? Yeah, the Oren Lions goalie of the year, 4-time winner.
Wow, oh, nice.
And you think he's got a shot at MVP?
He's led the league in saves every single year. If he can be more dominant, and they finally added an offense. Well, with rookies, we'll see how they pan out. But he's at 18-1 for a guy who's going to be the best goalie. And he's Head and Shoulders the best goalie. Goalies obviously don't get a lot of love in lacrosse. They're in a tough position. They got to change the plane of the shot, if you will. When they come in high, you got to go low.
Change the eye level. That's always doing that to mess with the goalies.
So he's a solid one that'll always be there for you. But value as far as MVP, this is your Boston Cannons.
What a great name for the Boston team.
Wheel, man.
It really is.
Right.
They are cannons. They're like human cannons.
Yeah. Their attacker Asher Nolting. He's at 25-1, and he's in he made a second-year leap last year, so this is his third year. He is no one is better off the dodge, if you will,
nice.
than Asher Nolting. No one can keep up with him. The only problem is not the only problem. he's not on. He won't be on one of the top 2 teams of Philadelphia, Utah, but he will. He has a chance to be the number 1 statistically, like they say, striker and attacker. Like if you're talking fantasy, like one of those guys who just absolute stat stuffer of a goal. So for 25-1 for a guy who's one of the top 3 attackers in the league, they always like voting for people who get score goals and points, and he's gonna be one of those guys.
I feel like we can actually find the people who vote on this, and hit them up and be like, who
get our own exit poll.
Try and get some.
What's the Gallup
info.
like? What's that one NBA poll? As soon as it comes out, that's who the MVP is voting for.
Yeah,
that could be our inside Gallup poll.
Speaking, if I was going to vote,
right?
And shout out to Joan in the chat saying Nolting is a baller.
Yes, sir.
And Easy also checking in saying Laddie Daddy in the house. Great to see the chat is
well, I don't want to get too into the laxative, but laxy Laddie Daddy, the long laddie stick daddy.
I like that.
Yes,
it's like CJ has that like strip club length nickname.
Oh yeah,
talk up now. It's like it's more than Colby now. Fast Colby.
Yeah,
they come to me. I just take what the world brings to me and shoot it back out there. It's not like it's not like I try to do this. You know what I mean?
Kramer, we have we've had luck playing all unders when it comes to UFL early on in the weeks. Back in the day, it was NFL preseason before the market got smart there. I think now there's 4 games here this week. Of course, 0 played by your Redwoods, and there. I think we roll.
Are we going to address the fact that that one team just doesn't get to play?
Yeah, I don't. Whatever their rotation is, California Redwoods, they have their week 1 bye. Yeah. Atlas play on Saturday and Sunday, which I don't know. Well,
I think it's because you want to give more opportunities for the home team crowd.
Yeah, to showcase. Yeah, I get that.
I kind of actually like the creativity of this.
I think it just sucks if your team, if your team is the team starting off with the week 1 bye.
The idea that everyone gets a bye is cool until you're the team that doesn't get to play opening weekend.
Ryan, what if we take all 4 overs? My logic is, much like in the NFL, they're updating the rules, they're tweaking. They want to see scoring. They're putting these showcase games on. They want people on Underdog Fantasy hitting their hires. They want people hitting their overs, seeing their fantasy scores go up.
Oh, interesting.
I think they kind of want to encourage scoring. Like scoring is kind of exciting. They want that back and forth. I think if we play all 4 overs,
wouldn't the new rule make unders though? So basically, what I heard Newbie say was that this new rule is going to force a lot more turnovers out of faceoffs. That's the intent, because the elite faceoff guys were just able to retain possession. It was too much of a cheat code. And so by making it such that you have less time to do something with the ball after you win the faceoff, it makes me think we're going to burn more clock.
Well, but then I'll say this: they shortened the shot clock. I don't know what the old shot clock was, but it's now down to 32 seconds. Wow. To me, shorter shot clock, more shots, more scoring. That's to me as simple as the formula gets. And if I know these people and what they,
do you have data on the totals last year?
No.
Okay.
This is just, it's pure hypothetical, pure gut handicapping. I'm
the amount of times I asked Sean if he has data in any given day, and the answer is no.
Yeah, I'll be like, Ryan, we should just do this. Well, what are you basing that off of? I don't know. It seems like a good idea. Well, have we back tested that? We need to get a committee going. We need to have multiple.
I've never suggested a committee,
but you're like, we need to study this problem, create multiple solutions, create multiple data sets to compare the analysis. I'm like, no, let's just do this. It makes sense.
Yep. Good balance. That's how Skynet gets here.
Good balance in the workflow. CJ, are you in on the all overs? Also entertaining.
I do like the overs, not all of them, but but if you do want a blind bet, that's fine. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about this. I'm a little. They have to score to get over.
Right, and then you were selling us that with the new face-off rules. There'll be a lot of riding, which is when you just jump back and get back on defense.
That's what I mean. It seems like the rule, like the intent of the rule, is to generate more scoring.
Yep.
But I think the reality of the rule, it's going to generate just more possession changes. I don't know if it creates more good shots.
Right. There'll be a lot.
I think this is one of those. Are you getting quality looks? Are you
a lot of rushed shots? You're right.
Is your poll? I don't even know a good way to use the poll.
All right, Benedict Dantold in the chat. He is a insider. He's saying don't bet overs early. Defense and goalies are ahead. All right. I'll listen.
He could just be applying our NFL knowledge.
He seems. I mean, he knows who Asher is.
Sure, that makes sense.
He was one of the people who asked for a PLL channel in Discord.
Oh, okay. Well, then
we do have a college lacrosse channel in our Discord that's been active. So,
oh wow.
If you want to ask me the next college experience sport, lacrosse might be high up on that list.
All right, Kramer. Let's get to some week one.
Let's hammer some games. So
that being said, I think we have to rock the over in this Utah Philly game.
Well, so the and we were here. We heard a couple kind of side statements about the quality of the offense for the Archers. All right, so we got the shout out to the PLL. They went with a 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday approach. They also did this really novel thing, Sean. They made the games back to back so that fans can enjoy 2 games. I'm guessing for the price of 1 ticket. If you didn't already hear us talk about it, the PLL is a little bit like a traveling show. They go to each host city or team gets like a host weekend. They play their games out there. This weekend, it's in Albany, the home of the New York Atlas. At the University of Albany's lacrosse field stadium, 10 a.m. on Saturday on the West Coast, the Utah Archers, which are they allowed to do the Archer thing, or is that a lot of sports have taken that out of the celebration catalog? They're taking on the Philadelphia Waterdogs. Waterdogs are all the spreads are 1.5, similar to a run line or a puck line. The money line for the -1.5 Waterdogs is +125. Archers +1.5, -160. -115 on the money line both ways. 25.5 is the total. My thought is I will apply blind logic when it comes to totals. I'll take them all under.
Whoa!
I was already thinking about that, and then as Newbie was talking about the new faceoff rule, and I had read about it, I didn't quite understand it, and then he explained it. It leads me to believe that we're going to see a lot just more change of possession. So,
Ryan, just so you know, overs are 4-1 last 5 in this matchup.
That's fine.
Okay.
I like to look forward, not backward.
No, I mean, I think
I appreciate how you're using data to inform your decision.
No, I think the new rule, and again, I could be wrong, kind of lends itself to the over.
I doubt you're wrong.
But Benedict Dantold does seem to know what he's talking about for lacrosse, so I will trust him. That being said, I think the play, of course, is the Waterdogs. You know, you got the new head coach Bill Tierney taking over, and he's got the team fired up. He's got them buying in. Of course, they asked him about it. He says, "Oh no, it's just another game." How could it be another game? Right. You're taking over as a new head coach. Your team lost in the championship, and you're playing. It's instant revenge.
No, I'm sure it's nothing.
I mean, they've had this game circled all offseason. Kieran McCardle, aka their stud attacker, averaging 2 goals per game, had 3 against Utah. Quote: "I carried it pretty heavy in the offseason, but once I showed up to training camp, I shrugged it off. It's a new season and a new opportunity." He's saying all the right things, but you know they're going to bring some extra motivation. And those Philly Waterdogs, they travel. That fan base, they'll be road trip up to Albany. They'll be bringing some fans. And then Connor Kelly, as I pointed out, led the league in 2-point goals. I think they get the win. They get the cover. Give me Philly -1.5, and then you get +125 on that. For picking a total, I guess I'll go. I don't know, CJ. What are you doing on the total?
I like the over here, like you said. Not just that trend. Everything I've read about is all offense. It's all the things that comes back, and not only is Utah loaded offensively, Philly's loaded offensively with Michael Sowers as an attacker, Zach Courier as a Swiss Army knife who can do it all. Midfielder. Utah's got a lot of defensive injury problems, so they're throwing an all rookie defenseman out there. So they were not. But they said we might be ready down this line, but not going to be ready for this game. But
sounds like the rookie cornerback, high draft pick, but it's a little learning experience once you get up to the pro level.
And they got Tom Schneider as the 3-time MVP to star, but the Mac O'Keefe, the lefty, You might like their,
O'Keefe, huh?
Yeah, you might like him. He's a sniper who gets set up, and he's one of the best off the ball goal scorers in the league.
I imagine seeing a lefty must be pretty tough. Just like.
It's like
'Cause
Tua.
Every
Ball spinning
with the stick and defending it, a lefty's got to kind of throw you off.
Sure,
So.
that's why you do like they do the poke check and then the swipe check and then they do face dodging. That's when they bring that. That's when they cradle to their face and then they do a
Little spin move.
right. Absolutely.
Boston Scott, I think, would be a great lacrosse player.
You think so?
I think so.
Low center of gravity.
Yeah. Although
That's
Well,
all right.
Jim Brown, of course, the greatest lacrosse player of all time, they say, and
Really?
at Syracuse. And I think it's mainly because,
Because he's Jim Brown.
well, they just told him to put the ball against his chest. He just plowed through everybody. Like, he didn't know.
All right.
But they say he's the greatest lacrosse player of all
As
time.
we learn the game more, Sean, and we understand the positions more, we will have to come up with the ideal lacrosse lineup using NFL players.
okay, it's a great exercise for social. So CJ, you're on the over. What's your play on the side?
I'm going to go with Philadelphia just because of the revenge angle as well. I mean, they're both good. Phillies is the favorite, and like,
are you laying the number, or are you taking just the money?
I don't understand why you would lay the number when it seems like every single game it ends at 15-14,
So,
13-12. I mean, in a league like this, you want it to be close. I remember take a way back to box lacrosse, which was a fun sport that came up. It was an indoor lacrosse team which combined hockey, wrestling, and lacrosse. It seemed like a lot of slamming in there. Where the Gates brothers would change teams every year, just like to promote that town.
Yeah.
And the Philadelphia Wings was a great box lacrosse
I
team
remember that, yeah.
at the Spectrum, and I went to a game. A guy who played for the Wings worked with my dad. I couldn't believe it. Why would he have a job? He plays on the Wings. My dad's like, he makes $50 a game. And so, and what would happen was one team would be up like 10, 11 goals. You think, oh my God, it's a blowout. Next thing you know, it's tied up because like, hey, we want the last 2 minutes to be riveting, if you will. I'm not saying it was fixed, but after it was 2 minutes, like, okay, you can do whatever you want.
Trotters.
So I'm saying, why lay the one? You don't want to mess.
Yeah, you're right.
If the line's 115,
Go Waterdogs money line.
Waterdogs money line and the over.
I have some. I was going to make. I have some kind of overarching thoughts as we go through this.
On
but
the Archers?
I think we only. No, not on the Archers. Unrelated to the Archers. I think we only do money lines.
Yeah.
I think we make all of our picks money line picks,
Okay.
and then if you want to sprinkle in a spread pick, we can talk about. We can figure that out. But just to normalize on something. Because I don't quite understand the purpose of, I'll call it the stick line. It doesn't have a name, but the pole line.
The pole line is great.
The pole line. All right. So what doesn't make sense to me is typically it would be like the home team's going to get it, or it seems to be. And like you said, a lot of scores end on one. Anyway, I'm also on Philly. Unfortunately, it does seem like this is a. Do we know if the water in Utah cures championship hangovers?
No idea what the water in upstate New York's like.
Philly also seems like a super team.
Super team.
Super teams start fast. So, all right, game 2 on Saturday, 12:30 p.m. on the West Coast, 3:30 local time. The Boston Cannons and the home New York Atlas. I'm talking about the man or the globe. -1. I'm sorry. Minus or +1.5, -130 for the Atlas. Boston +100 for the -1.5. -140 for Boston. +110 for New York. 25.5 is the total. Seems like another. From what I gathered, these are high totals. These are teams that we expect to have a good scoring capability. And so maybe this represents a relatively high total. I'm going to stick with my under theory, and there isn't much to handicap here because I would never take Boston over New York in anything.
Atlas, interesting because before last season, the Cannons had never beaten the Atlas, and the Cannons actually went 3-0.
That's
straight up against the Atlas. Maybe the Cannons have something figured out. Atlas were a comically bad 3-8 ATS. Overall, second worst in the conference or in the league. I don't know, CJ. I'm on the fence here. I don't know. Can I really take the Boston Cannons? I don't think I can. CJ,
No,
what are you doing?
no,
I'll follow CJ. He's got piles of notes.
Well, and by the way, there are conferences, Eastern and Western conferences. So I don't think we went over that in the beginning, but the East is Maryland, New York, Philly, and Boston. and the West is Carolina somehow, Denver, California, and Utah. I mean, boy, amazing. Carolina really you're really up against it, CJ. That travel required.
Well, this game here, the New York Atlas had a rookie Collar Schellenberger. I like which reminds me. Actually, I forgot the note about Utah. Their face-off man Mike Sisselberger. He's a run and gun kind of guy, and it does their face-offs to help the over in that Philly Utah. By the way, anyway, so New York they have the face-off specialist Trevor Baptiste, who's the best face-off guy in the league. He won 4 out of 5. He led the league in face-off percentages for the last 5 seasons. They have Jeff Teat, who's a Swiss Army knife at attack. He's good at dodging, finishing, and feeding, which is all 3 that you need there when you're looking at this. And I'm looking at the home crowd team opening game. I'm gonna take them and then fade them on the doubleheader when they might be tired. Now Boston, like I said, I have Asher Noting as my 25-1 MVP. They're also going to go with a traditional face-off, which is kind of outdated with the new rules. So we'll see how it works. Their problem last year was they had horrific goaltending, but then they switched to Colin Kurst mid-season, and he was a game changer. They don't really have any backups for it, but they drafted a couple defenders, brought someone in. They brought in Gerard Eppel, Bryce Young, not the bus Bryce Young.
Oh, well, he will be playing
Bryce
for
Young.
them.
Right.
Hey, Bryce, you can't see over the line. Could you hold this stick?
Yeah. So this is wasn't this a lofty number? What was the
Yeah, the money line is plus 110 for the Atlas. Cannons are a minus 140 favorite. I'm going dog here.
Yeah, I'm going dog here as well,
Atlas
for sure. And to follow your lead here, I'm taking a second over in this game as well.
Ooh, over 25.5.
Yep.
You're not taking it over, Sean? Stick to your guns.
All right, I'll go over 25.5. I'm going to be mad if
we'll just bet each other. We'll just make a bet.
Yeah, we'll create our own gambling exchange.
Over versus under. All right, Sunday. And again, the games are at the same time. So we're programming our audience. We're getting them their body clocks used to the lacrosse schedule. The Carolina CJ's Carolina Chaos.
This is what we're here for.
The Denver Outlaws, 10 a.m. on the West Coast. Denver minus 110. Carolina minus 120. Carolina minus 1.5 plus 125. The first, another one of these interesting poll lines. Denver minus 160 for the plus 1.5. 23 is the total. Speaks to the level of defense that we expect from these teams. I believe Denver is known for their defensive acumen. I don't know much about Carolina.
Well, Denver also, if you look up their stats and you go, where are their 2023 stats? They were known as the Chrome last year. So they changed to the Outlaws.
Yeah.
Chrome is maybe a better title. I kind of like Chrome.
Outlaws is pretty cool, but they had Chrome helmets. It was kind of, I thought it was working for them.
Google came after them.
All right.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't use that name. we got that.
I mean, chaos. They bring the chaos.
They do.
CJ. 40.6 shots per game. How say you? What do you feel about your chaos?
Yep, and they only scored 12 a game, but they only gave up 11 a game. So they are a lockdown defense. Like I said, they have the greatest goaltender in the history of this lacrosse league, 4-year consecutive goalie of the year by a large margin. Will Bowen is the number 1 defenseman in the league. And they play dirty. I love it. They've defensive play the of all their awards are like guys' names that are like in finance departments or something like the Dave Pete Model Defensive Player of the Year Award.
Hey, he manages my 401k.
They really do have those types of names.
Right. So but they drafted some rookies to help their offense. So they had no offense. So we'll see if they can do. But I think those in Denver was awful last year. They were 1-9. Was that what they were or something like that?
Yeah.
You mean the Chrome?
Yeah, the Chrome Outlaw. Carolina Chaos. I'm riding them hard, and I'll. What'd you say that total was? 23. That's low.
Under.
Yeah, low for a reason. I don't care. I'm still taking the under. I'm taking Carolina. They're going to shut them. They're going to shut them down.
Yeah, Chrome were 1-9, 81, only 81 goals. For reference, the second shortest amount of goals is the Redwoods there with 111. So really, sorry, not Carolina. The Denver Chrome turned into the Denver Outlaws. I'm all over the under. Or no, I like.
But they will have.
I thought you were on overs. Sean.
Yeah,
what the hell's wrong?
I'm sticking with the overs.
We're on over with Brendan O'Neill, but not with the game. He's the number one pick. He plays for Denver.
Brendan O'Neill over 2 or 2.5.
Yeah,
I'll stick with my all overs, but again, I do like the Carolina Chaos.
Love Chaos.
It's gonna be like a. I'll predict it's a. Call it a 14-12 Chaos win, but I'll take the Chaos there on the money line. Kramer, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I'm on the Chaos. I think CJ and I actually had a conversation about how we how the Chaos could be a great team, sick logo,
yes,
sick name. Carolina. I will say, not that lacrosse isn't played on the West Coast. I grew up on the East Coast.
Right.
That was the elite sport of the Northeastern elite. The sport
League,
of the Northeasterly elites
and Virginia
lacrosse.
and Maryland, of course.
You want to know if someone grew up in a wealthier part of New Jersey?
Right.
Did they play lacrosse or have an equestrian team at their high school?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you,
it's not the same growth now, though. I would say. I'd say. Well, I'd say that's my. Couple of my nephews are pretty great at lacrosse up in the Connecticut area. I'm going to try to get them in there. High school. I'll talk to the cousins, see if we can get them going. He's like, he watching. It's just a terror because you're just running around, just open field hits. You know what I mean?
They were saying the lacrosse actually has been one of the beneficiaries of the anti-football.
That's exactly what it is.
You're getting kids moving from football into.
That's exactly what happened.
Which, by the way, we're not going to get to talk about them, but. One of the players on my Redwoods.
Heavy hitters.
6'2", 235, former linebacker at Stanford. No big deal.
We got Brian. We got to get Brian Dawkins in this league. That would be.
I did look
Weapon
up,
X. Come on.
I did look up if Chris Hogan was on a team. he's not on a team. All right.
Will Bill Belichick be coaching any of these teams? I know he has some availability. Right?
Well, what do you? The better question is, will Bill Belichick be on the sidelines taking in the games?
Albany's a little bit of a. Well, where's he at these days? I don't know. It's probably not too far.
Maybe Maryland's the better.
I still don't understand why he doesn't just coach Navy lacrosse, football, whatever it was.
Oh yeah, him coaching Navy football would be awesome. They would love his.
He's taking
no nonsense style.
You'll like this. You'll like this, Kramer. By the way,
what's
just a line here about this Chaos and Blaze Radon, the greatest goalie in the history of pro lacrosse. He will lead the league's meanest defense, a unit willing to throw checks at any location on the field.
Oh, love it.
Which, by the way, the other
how
thing,
do you not like the Chaos?
I mean, Jesus.
The other thing I came across that kind of amused me. Do you know who covers the PLL, or at least who's breaking news in the PLL? Just reading a PLL article, seeing Field Yates being sourced as the guy. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Is he a Syracuse guy? Most journalists are.
Big.
And Syracuse is huge in lacrosse.
Big lacrosse team up there. All right. Last one, 12:30 on the West Coast. Again, if it's your homecoming event, you get to play 2 games. And real quick before we get to the last game, so one other note on the schedule, if you're not familiar. So every team gets a homecoming weekend where you do this double game, and then another team gets a bye. But there are 2 neutral site weekends. One is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which feels truly like a neutral site.
Okay.
And the other is Fairfield, Connecticut.
Wow.
As West Coast teams, what is this nonsense?
That's Boston Cannon's territory.
I was just saying that's where the Sullivan boys are wrecking havoc up in Connecticut. So that's where they're going to where the action is.
Those weekends, there are no bye weeks. Other note, the quarterfinals are in Boston. The semifinal is in Long Island, and the final is in Philly. Are you kidding me?
Oh, let's go!
Come on,
Dogs home game.
Yeah.
What have we done? We get the first week bye. We got the full playoffs on the West Coast. By the way, do you know where the All-Star game is being held? Louisville, Kentucky. Hopefully they didn't see what happened to Scotty.
Philly looks like they might have like a battle hawk type advantage here.
If the cops try to pull the stuff they pulled on Scotty Scheffler, I don't think the lacrosse guys are going to comply. All right, so so that's it. Basically, you get everyone gets a home weekend where they play 2 games, 2 neutral site weekends, an all-star weekend, and then some bullshit playoffs on the East Coast. The Maryland Whipsnakes, which is a great name. In my mind, you're whipping someone with a snake.
Yeah.
You're a whip snake. And they're taking on the New York Atlas for their second game. The Atlas +120 at home. Are you kidding me? Maryland Whipsnakes -150. They're -1, -110, and -120 the other way for the Atlas. 24.5 is the total. Which, if I were to guess, I think we're going to see a lot of 24s, 24.5s. That's kind of, I would put that in like the middle. So when we see two higher scoring teams play, we'll see it go north of that. When we see two lower scoring teams, we'll see it go south of that. Again, I made a conscious decision to not be a Atlas fan. I've lived in California longer than I lived in New Jersey, and I was born into that lifestyle. I didn't have to be born into the New York Atlas lifestyle. I've heard a lot of very positive things about the Maryland Whipsnakes.
Yeah,
I'll let CJ go into it because I see he has a large section for him.
my Whipsnakes isn't too deep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do like Tucker Dorvich. He's a midfielder, rookie of the year last year.
Nice.
Of course, he should step it up. They have 3 goalies on the roster. They did the same thing last year, which is not a great sign. Kind of like in quarterbacks.
Yeah, you have 3 goalies. You got no goalies.
Right. Exactly. New York also has 3 goalies, but they do have a starting goalie. Now that comes into play. Obviously, the depth goalie, which comes into play here because they're doing a doubleheader.
Yeah, and goaltending was the Atlas's issue.
Defensive, they were the worst defensive efficiency team in the league. So they drafted some defenders. They got 3 goalies. They have Michael Rexertrode. I mean,
yeah, I love the of the total of all the overs I'm playing. I love this one. This one would be my favorite over because I think New York's going to be gassed. The back-to-back June heat in Albany.
How do we handicap this? Yeah, big bugs, horseflies.
I don't know if it is a home field advantage because you're playing back-to-back games early on in the season. Your conditioning might not be peak. So I
feels like a smash spot for Maryland.
I
right?
think Whipsnakes could ratchet it up, Ryan.
Yeah.
I know you said we don't want to play any of the spreads here, but do we want to take the Whipsnakes -150 on the money line? I feel like we got to lay the 1.5 here.
I was going to say, but also real quick, another note for the New York being gassed here. They are the only team in the league that they're only rostering 3 defenders total.
Really? Only 3 pulls.
Right. Only 3 pulls. Only 3 pulls. Only 3 long pulls. Now they
better hope Lizzo doesn't show up.
They're confident in him. Yeah, that's very offensive if you're Polish, by the way. To be doing this, but
I see. I get it. You're screwing in a light bulb over there with 3 of those pulls.
But in a double header, that's where the depth will come.
Yeah, how many pulls does it take to stop a
Whipsnake?
Yeah,
to stop a Whipsnake in an afternoon double header.
1 to do it and 2 to watch. That was always the screw the light bulb joke. All right, over 24.5. Love that. And
under.
Okay, Kramer's on the under.
And
so you're feeling uncomfortable with laying a juicy number like that?
-150. I guess if we're going to stick to all money lines.
I'm sticking to it. We're going to do all money lines all season.
CJ, what are you doing?
I'm definitely going Maryland. I don't bet against Brazilians and mixed martial arts, and I don't go against Maryland and lacrosse.
All right. So
That's
Maryland,
smart.
Maryland -150. Are you on the over here as well, CJ?
I like your style with that because it will be the. I think where the depth will hurt them and the gassing will hurt them will be on the defensive end for New York, a team that was last in defensive efficiency last year, and you're gonna. I think they will cover that up in the second game, but not as much here. So I like the over there. I think I'm on 3 overs except for Carolina.
And I'll have some deep bye week stats next week talking about my Redwoods.
Redwoods coming off the week 1 bye.
Hey, they'll be undefeated after this weekend. Still.
Kramer, do we want to do now? Normally we do a lock and a dog, but there's not. Looking at this card, it doesn't seem like there's going to be these 2-to-1, some +160 dogs that we're going to get on. Do we give out 2 locks? What do we do here? Well, how do we pivot? Or do we just?
I think we just give out
do a lock
two
and
plays.
a parlay.
2 plays.
2 locks.
2 locks.
CJ, what do you want to do? Let's just do 2 locks.
2 locks and a 2 locks and a parlay parch tree.
Let's just do double locks.
Yeah, double locks.
All right, double lock it.
Double lock salute.
There's only 4 games.
Yeah, and we got there's
4 games, 4 totals.
4 totals.
Right.
Come on, right?
When will someone lock up the same team twice?
Ooh,
this season. That'll be a fun.
Oh, I could see myself locking up the
Philly
Waterdogs a number of times
on the homecoming weekend. They call them homecoming weekends too.
Yeah.
Which is like,
do they run through like a giant paper banner?
Do they have a king and queen? Maybe when we go, Sean, we'll have to wear tuxes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, we can get you a Queen's hat and a scepter.
I'll get a custom Redwoods tux. Green and
that
yellow.
also sounds like a euphemism. The Redwoods tuxedo.
Oh,
sounds like some crazy hillbilly stuff you do in Urban Dictionary.
So you remind me of one last thing. I was going through some lacrosse terms, and they felt the need to include lettuce / cabbage / flow. Long hair out of the back of the helmet.
Wow.
So
look at that lettuce flow.
You want to talk about an all bro league?
I should have mentioned, the backup goalies for New York will be doing a lot of Gilman clears, which is when you just heave the ball out of there.
It's the Marty Brodeur shot.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, all in on the PLL.
I like all these things we're learning from
This is
CJ.
amazing.
CJ's great with the. I like you as our glossary / lacrosse historian.
Yeah.
Kramer, our PLL Week 1 locks. What do you got?
Ooh, so everything I've read suggests that this Philly team is going to come shot out of a cannon, and there's a revenge spot. Seems like the obvious play, and they're much closer to home because the league clearly is giving East Coast teams the benefit. I don't know why. Second lock. Unfortunately, I can't lock up my Whipsnake, my Redwoods. But I will, and Sean, because you would look down upon locking up a -150. I will lock up the -1.5 for the purposes here, just so it's a -110
of the Maryland Whipsnakes.
Yes.
-110,
Yes.
laying a goal and a half. You know, they say revenge is a dish best served cold.
It is a
It's
best.
gonna be a little hot and sticky up in
whoa,
Albany
whoa.
when the Waterdogs get their thirst for revenge quenched against the fucking Utah Archers. I mean, they're gonna be drilling permits in those arches. I don't know, whatever. They're going to destroy the arches and our national parks. Give me the Waterdogs -115 and my other lock, CJ's Carolina Chaos. Like them to get it done. It's going to be low-ish scoring, but I still think they get over the 23. But
I almost locked that one up too.
Chaos -120 feels like a great spot for them. Denver Outlaws. You can change your name, but you can't change your entire roster. Give me the Chaos. CJ,
Welcome to the league, Rook. You're gonna blast with the meanest team in thing. I'll give you a side total and that parlay. We'll go. I'll piggyback there with the Carolina Chaos as my side, as my lock. We are with the point we already went. The total, I will.
Don't you dare break the rules, you motherfucker.
No. Total will start right off with that Philly Utah over the 24.5, 25, whatever it is.
25.5.
Easily, we're hitting 30. We're hitting 30 on that one. It's
Steal a
nothing but
number.
offense, running, gun. I mean, there's going to be some D cuts, some V cuts, and then we finally ball down. Not a lot of balls downs in that games.
Bar down.
The New York parlay, but it's New York, no York. We're going New York game 1. Atlas as a dog over the Boston Cannons, and then we're fading New York Atlas as they will be weary with the Maryland Whipsnakes. You parlayed pro New York, anti New York. They will be seeing a lot of things. The GLE, Sean, which is the goal line extended, the imaginary goal line. They'll be seeing that'll be blurring and crossing.
does that go around the entire earth like they always talk about the end zone line?
It goes all the way across until the stand. So that's Carolina Chaos over Utah Philly and the New York, no York.
I
double parlay.
We have to give out a parlay.
Yes.
CJ just made us.
I'm just gonna go with Philly and Carolina. I feel very strong about both those plays. Nice parlay there too, with the Waterdogs at -115 and the Chaos at -120.
All 4 unders.
I love that.
Oh wow!
I
Come
love
at
that.
me.
That's
At Kramer centric. You'll
UFL
notice how
style.
fire my profile picture is right now.
Man, this was fun. I really enjoyed it talking PLL. We're going to be back next week breaking down the PLL with CJ every week where there's lacrosse. We're going to be breaking it down. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, SGPN May 15% off all the merch. Get you a Man in the Box shirt, the Bet Detective, a lot of great CJ, a lot of great unique merch in the store. We just got our new camo stuff. Hit the America tab there up top. There's some cool new shirts. The DGen Dream Team, and of course that is our Patreon prize this week. If you win the Patreon pick'em, you get 5 shirts, so you can create your own DGen Dream Team, you and 4 buddies.
Wow.
We got a gambling trip coming up. That could be fun. Kramer, what are we doing tomorrow? Talking a little UFL.
We're talking a little UFL, Sean, and then of course VSiN 6 p.m. Pacific Sports Gambling Podcast live.
Let's.
Which I have an update, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, whoa!
Breaking news.
Speaking of UFL.
Whoa, what's this about?
Well, after this show, me and Dundee will be doing the UFL show preview for this weekend.
Okay.
J Mark, who's usually the third leg of our, the anchor of our show,
no.
he had some effing water line in Des Moines broke, wiped a bunch of stuff, including the internet. He's always getting some bad rural Iowa internet, trying to get bandwidth going there. He had to drive 20 minutes to get a signal. He doesn't know when he'll be back, so we're gonna have to roll without him.
Oh no!
Tornadoes in Iowa, but J Mark's still alive.
That was a great
internet down.
Ryan, we gotta play that. We gotta play that clip for Real Men of DGen. J Mark shared it was I guess kind of close to his house. Unfortunately, this guy lost everything. House completely devastated, and they're asking him about it. He's like, "Yeah, I lost everything, including my new set of golf clubs."
Yeah.
Ping, if you're listening, I need a new driver. I need he
Love
started
that guy.
listing off all the clubs.
Right.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, come on, the guy's giving you a ton of free
That's amazing
stuff. Hey, toss us a nice rating review over on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars over on Spotify.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Sean, we're lacrosse bros now.
Yes.
Kramer, let it ride.